I'm gonna tell you a story. But the first thing you have to understand is, time doesn't work the way you think it does. You can call me Oracle, because I'm the one who's talking to you. Welcome to the cult. Oh, but wee. It's never gonna be that kind of cult, no matter how much you put yourself into being wee. Alright. The Kama Sutra by Vatsyayana. Chapter 1, Part 1, Chapter 1, Salutation to Dharma, Artha, and Kama. This is from wikisource.org. In the beginning, the Lord of beings created men and women in the form of commandments, and in the form of commandments in 100,000 chapters laid down rules for regulating their existence with regard to Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Some of these commandments, namely those which treated of Dharma, were separately written by Swayambhu Manu. Those that related to Artha were compiled by Brihaspati, and those that referred to Kama were expounded by Nandi, the followers of Mahadeva, in 1,000 chapters. Now these Kama Sutra, aphorisms on love, written by Nandi in 1,000 chapters, were reproduced by Shvetaketu, the son of Udvaleka, in an abbreviated form in 500 chapters, and this work was again similarly reproduced in an abridged form in 150 chapters by Babravya, an inheritant of the Punchala, south of Delhi country. These 150 chapters were then put together under 7 heads or parts named separately. First, Sadharana, general topics. 2, Samprayogika, embraces, etc. Third, Kanya Samprayuktaka, union of males and females. Bharyad Dikarika, on one's own wife. Paradirika, on the wives of other people. Vaisika, on courtesans. And seventh, Apamishadika, on the arts of seduction, tonic medicines, etc. Oh, as an Ayurveda section, that's cool. The sixth part of this last work was separately expounded by Datka on the request of the public women of Patiliputra, Patna, in the same way. Charyana explained the first part of it. The remaining parts, these, the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and seventh, were each separately expounded by the second part by Suvarna Naba, the third part by Gotaka Mukha, fourth part by Gonatdiya, the fifth part by Gonika Putra, and the seventh part by Kuchumara, respectively. Thus, the work being written in part by different authors was almost unobtainable, and as the parts were expounded by Dattaka, and the others treated only of the particular branches of the subject to which each part related, and moreover, as the original work of Babravya was difficult to be mastered on this account of its length, Vatsyayana, therefore, composed this work on a small volume as an abstract of the whole of the works of the above-named authors. Chapter 2, on the acquisition of Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Man, the period of whose life is 100 years, should practice Dharma, Artha, and Kama at different times and in different manner, that they may harmonize together and not clash in any way. He should acquire learning in his childhood, in his youth and middle age he should attend to Artha and Kama, and in his old age he should perform Dharma and thus seek to gain moksha, release from further transmigration, or on account of uncertainty of life, he may practice them at times when they are enjoined to be practiced. But one thing is to be noted, he should lead the life of a religious student until he finishes his education. Dharma is obedience, the command of the Shastra, or holy writ of Hindus, to do certain things, such as performance of sacrifices, which are not generally done, because they do not belong to this world and produce no visible effect, and do not do other things, such as eating meat, which is often done because it belongs to this world and has visible effects. Dharma should be learned from the Shruti, holy writ, and from those conversant with it. Artha is of the acquisition of arts, land, gold, cattle, wealth, equipages, and friends. It is further the protection of what is acquired and the increase of what is protected. Artha should be learned from the king's officers and from merchants who may be versed in the ways of commerce. Oh, so I learned Artha by being a merchant. Kama is the enjoyment of appropriate objects from the 5 senses of hearing, feeling, seeing, tasting, and smelling, assisted by the mind together with its soul. The ingredients of this particular contact between the organ of sense and its object, and thus the consciousness of pleasure which arises from that contact, is called Kama. Kama is to be learned from the Kama Sutra, aphorisms on love, and from the practice of citizens. When all three, viz., Dharma, Artha, and Kama, come together, the former is better than which follows it. Dharma is better than Artha, and Artha is better than Kama. But Artha should always be practiced by the king, and for the livelihood of the men is obtained by it from it only. Again, Kama being the occupation of public women, should they prefer it to the other two, and these are the exceptions to the general rule. Objection. Some learned men say that as Dharma is connected with things that things not belong to this world, it is appropriately treated of in a book, and so also is Artha, because it is practiced only by the application of proper means, and by knowledge of those means can only be obtained by study from books. The Kama being a thing which is practiced even by brute creation, and which to be found and which is to be found anywhere, does not want any work on that subject. Answer: that is not so. Sexual intercourse, being a thing dependent on men and women, requires the application of proper means by them, and those means are to be learned from the Kama Shastra. The non-application by proper means, which we shall see in brute creation, is caused by their being unrestrained, and by the females among them being fit only for sexual intercourse at certain seasons and no more, and by their intercourse no longer not being preceded by thought of any kind. Well, I did not know the Kama Sutra was this actually sexist. Oh well, it's a thing. Objection 2. The Loka Yatika say religious ordinances should not be observed, for they bear future fruit, and at the same time it is also doubtful whether they will bear any fruit at all. What foolish person will give away that which is in his own hands into the hands of another? Moreover, it is better to have a pigeon today than a peacock tomorrow, and a copper coin which we have the certainty of obtaining is better than a gold coin, the possession of which is doubtful. That seems like false logic, but alright, anyway. Answer: it is not so. First Holy Writ, which ordains the practice of Dharma, does not admit of a doubt. There was a Jewish philosopher named Spinoza who did literal actual proofs about basically the existence of God and stuff. This is actually reminding me a lot of that. Second, sacrifices such as those made for the destruction of enemies or for the fall of rain are seen to bear fruit. Third, the sun, moon, stars, planets, and other heavenly bodies appear to work intentionally for the good of the world. Fourth, the existence of this world is affected by the observance of the rules of respecting the four classes of men and the four stages of life. Fifth, we see that the seed is thrown into the ground with the hopes of future crops. Vatsyayana is therefore the opinion that the ordinance of religion must be obeyed. This is going to be a lot more of an undertaking than I thought. Although it is not going to be as boring as the grammar series. Right. Objection 3. Those who believe that destiny is the prime mover of all things, we should not exert ourselves to acquire wealth, for sometimes it is not acquired, although we strive to get it, while at other times it comes to us of itself without any exertion on our part. Everything is therefore in the power of destiny, who is the Lord of gain and loss, of success and defeat, of pleasure and gain. Thus we see that Bali was raised by the throne of Indra by destiny, and was also put down the same power as it is only destiny that can reinstate him. So that's like determinism. Answer: it is not right to say so, as the acquisition of every object presupposes at all events but some exertion on the part of man. The application of proper means may be said to be cause of gaining on all our ends, and this application of proper means thus being necessary, even when a thing is destined to happen, it follows that a person who does nothing will enjoy no happiness. That's a pretty solid answer, actually. Objection 4. Those who are inclined to think that Artha is the chief object to be obtained argue thus. Pleasure should not be sought for because they are obstacles to the practice of Dharma and Artha, which are both superior to them and are also disliked by meritorious persons. Pleasures also bring a man into distress and into contact with low persons. They cause him to commit unrighteous deeds and produce impurity in him. They make him regardless of the future and encourage carelessness and levity. It's not a problem with levity. And lastly, they cause him to be disbelieved by all, received by none, and despised by everybody, including himself. It is notorious, moreover, that many men who have given themselves up to pleasure alone have thus been ruined along with their families and relations. All right, I can't argue that happens. Thus, King Dandakya, Bhoja dynasty, carried off Brahman's daughter with evil intent, and was actually ruined and lost his kingdom. Indra, too, having violated the chastity of Ahalya, was made to suffer for it. In a like manner of Kichaka, who tried to seduce Draupadi, and Ravana, who attempted to gain over Sita, who were punished for their crimes. These were, and many others, fell by reasons of their pleasures. Answer 4. This objection cannot be sustained for pleasures as being as necessary for the existence and well-being of the body as food, and consequently equally required. They are, moreover, the results of dharma and artha. Pleasures are therefore to be followed with moderation and caution. No one refrains from cooking food because there are beggars to ask for it, or from sowing seed because there are deer to destroy the corn when it is grown up. Thus, a man practicing dharma, artha, and kama enjoys happiness in both this world and in the world to come. The good perform those actions in what there is to fear as to what is to result from them in the next world, and there is no danger to their welfare. Any action which conduces to the practice of dharma, artha, and kama together, or any two, or even one of them, should be performed, but an action which conduces to the practice of one of them at the expense of the remaining two should not be performed. That's actually pretty solid advice. All right, where am I at for time? All right, I think I was gonna do the third chapter, but these are a little bit longer to read out, and I need to have something to drink. Ooh. Case in point. This is Oracle, I'm gonna sing myself out. Dream safely out there, sleep hydrated too. Until next time, peace out till all you.